Well, the House is less of a mystery, as Amos indicated, than the Senate. Strategists in both parties tell me they expect Democrats to get more than the 23 seats they need, probably more than 30 seats. In the Senate, the challenge is that you have a whole slew of races that are extremely close. If they all fall in one direction or the other, Republicans could gain several seats or Democrats could actually take the majority. I'm going to be looking in particular at Missouri and Indiana. Those are critical seats for Democrats to hold on to. Claire McCaskill in Missouri, running in one of those red states that Eamon referred to, Joe Donnelly in Indiana. Democrats need to hold both of those to have any shot at regaining a majority in the Senate.
The possibility, though, that you had mentioned that Republicans actually give up the Senate, that's far from consensus.
Not,
I mean, that would be a real upset to the markets.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Michelle.
I was just going to say, I'm going to use 2016 as my model, and Eamon, highlighted the surprise that everybody had.
Nobody knows
if
nothing
you just
today.
take that as a lesson, my gut is Democrats don't do nearly as well as they thought there was a chance they could have at one point, right? And that would be just the general rule. I'd also say if you look at the betting odds in London, where you can actually put money down, they suggest that the Republicans have a 1 in 3 chance of actually holding both the Senate and the House, which is a much better shot. Still doesn't mean they believe it's going to happen, but just to show you that there's still a lot of doubt about what could happen here. And I'm just not convinced that this blue wave that they talked about for so long is actually all that imminent. Yeah.
And Melissa, when you talk about what's at stake here, I mean, legislatively, say the Democrats capture the House and the Senate, and there is a blue wave. Ultimately, the president's not going to sign anything that they send him that he doesn't like. So legislatively, the Democrats are not going to have a lot of power, even if they have a big win tonight. The way they're going to get power politically is through subpoena power in the House of Representatives. If they take over the House and Democratic committee chairman can subpoena the White House for all kinds of documents, that's how they're going to affect the last 2 years of the president's first term.
And then one other, the Congressional Review Act, which has been used by the Republican-controlled Senate and House to roll back piles of regulation. If they lose the House, then you lose that tool, which has been so effective, part of the deregulatory nature of the Trump administration.
So, Brian, let's go down the path of what consensus and what the panel here seems to think is consensus, and that is Democrats take back the House. What sorts of things would you be concerned about? I mean, if Maxine Waters, for instance, becomes the head of the House Financial Services Committee, that can mean a whole host of things when it comes to financial regulation, as well as subpoena power when it comes to the president and his taxes.
Okay, so this actually, thanks, Melissa, this goes into Jamin's comment on the political aspects of this. There's the political aspects and there's the policy aspects of legislation. Politically, a Democratic control of either the House or the Senate is going to be very difficult for the administration and for the banking industry because there are going to be reams of congressional oversight hearings. So big bank CEOs are going to have a permanent chair at the witness table in front of Maxine Waters. And the Treasury Department's going to be pulled up and the banking regulator is going to be pulled up for hearings all the time. However, on the legislative, the policy side, there's little to no chance for the Democrats to push through whatever the agenda is, a kind of anti-bank re-regulatory agenda. That's not going to happen. And so, from my perspective, I think it's actually, going back to what Bob Pisani was talking about, why is gridlock good? Because the regulatory agenda stays in place. The banking regulators are in place. They're not going anywhere. They've been just confirmed to 4-year plus terms. And so as they continue to grind through the Trump administration's regulatory agenda, there's really not a lot Democrats on the Hill can do. Michelle was mentioning the Congressional Review Act. Okay, it might be able to pass the House on a resolution to overturn some banking regulation. It's probably not going anywhere in the Senate, and it's definitely not going to be signed by the president, which would be a requirement. So when I look at the political aspects of it, yeah, it's not great for the banking industry. Headline risk is going to increase. When I look at policy risk, I'm not that worried. I think the deregulatory narrative, stays in place.